Hello everyone, and thanks for joining me again. In this series of videos, we're going to be building a simple desktop app with Electron and React. And if you're not familiar with Electron, what it is, it's basically just a platform that allows you to build desktop apps for your local machine using your web development skills. And also for the series, we'll be using React hooks. So if you're not familiar with React hooks or you're just not quite comfortable with it yet, I suggest you get comfortable with it before you start this series. Although you could probably pick up what you need to know on the fly. We're not going to be using anything too difficult here. Also, we'll be using Create React App here. So if you like designing your React apps from scratch and making your own custom Webpack, feel free to do so. But I'm just going to start off using Create React App. So for now, go ahead and open up your CLI and make a new React app project. I've already got Create React App installed on my machine, so all I need to do is just npm init React app. And I'm just going to call this project display. Basically what we're doing here, what I'm planning to do is to just build a desktop app that allows us to, say for our business, say if we had like a sports bar, it would allow us to build a menu that we could display on an overhead monitor. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about right now. I don't have it completely fleshed out yet. So while that's installing, go ahead and add that to the workspace. Okay, looks like it's just about done, and it is. Go ahead and navigate into our directory, our project directory, which in this case is display. All right, now Create React App works right out of the box. I mean, if you've used it before, you know that we could just do npm start and it'll open up a browser window for us, and we'll see this at localhost 3000. All right, but we don't want our browser in Chrome to open up. We want to open up a separate window just like we were running any other software application on our computer that wasn't a web application. So go ahead and close that for now and stop your dev server and install a few dependencies. We're going to need Electron, of course, and we'll install that as a dev dependency. So we'll need Electron Builder, which allows us to bundle our files together for production. We'll use concurrently, and if you haven't used concurrently before, you know that, or sorry, if you have used it before, you know that it allows you to take two processes and run them in tandem with a single script in your package JSON file. Also, we'll be using something called wait on, so that actually one process will have to finish before the next one starts. Basically, we'll use wait on concurrently with concurrently. Sorry. All right, we'll install those. Take a look at our package JSON file and make sure they're being installed as dev dependencies. It's taking a little bit longer than I expected. This is always a comforting message to see. I wrote this module a very long time ago. You should use something else. Well, anyway, don't lose heart. I'm sure we'll get our application up and running. Okay, hopefully this is almost done so that we can install the rest of our dependencies. Looks like it's just about there. Okay. And we've got those dependencies. So go ahead now and install as regular dependencies. One will be called crossenv, and this we're going to use with concurrently. And the other will be called Electron is dev. And this just allows us to check whether or not we're in development mode easily. Excuse me. Okay, so now let's go to the Electron homepage. If you go to the docs, then you'll see in the second heading it says create your first app. Go to the subheading called Electron Development in a Nutshell. Click on that. And there'll be a bit of code. It's the third larger size code block down. Sorry, the second larger size code block down. And copy that. Go into your public directory and create a new file called electron.js and paste in that code. And basically this file will be our entry point to our Electron application. So we'll have to go into package.json and we'll create a property called main. And in this, or for this, we'll use the path to the electron.js file. It's one thing I hate about using create React app is ESLint is extremely obnoxious. All right. So, sorry about that, getting some phone calls here. So now what we'll need to do is modify the code that they gave us. Basically, theirs is considering that you'd be using basic JavaScript or vanilla JavaScript, but we want to use React, so we'll have to modify this a little bit. So first what we'll do is sorry, I'm a little bit foggy today. Where it says where it says window load file, what we'll do is we will change that to load URL. And then what we'll do is we'll run a check to see if we're in development mode or not. All right, and before I told you we were going to use a package called Electron isDev to check whether or not we were in development mode. So what we'll do now is we'll make sure that we have that. Also, go ahead and bring in path, and this is built into Node, so you don't have to install it. Make a variable called isDev, and we'll require Electron isDev for that. Okay, so down here in our load URL function, we'll use a ternary operator here, and we'll say that if we are in development mode, then we'll just want to use HTTP localhost 3000. And if not, then we'll actually want to load from our build folder. That's where we'll want to get our content. File. So when we run our build script, it'll actually create a build folder and it'll add our index.html file to it. As you probably know, Create React App does that for us. Now it's also got it set up so that when that window opens, it's actually going to open DevTools in the browser, Chrome Developer Tools. We'll leave that on for now just so you can see what it looks like. But with this, we should probably be able to get our Electron app up and running. Actually, no, we can't. Let's go back and look at our scripts first. Sorry about that. What we'll want to do now is we'll want to change some of our scripts and we'll want to add others. Alright, first of all, let's change this to React Start. That way we can separate the native React Start scripts, or the native React scripts, from the ones that we want to create for ourselves. Alright, good. So now what we'll need to do is we'll need to create a build script. Right, and this will use Electron Builder. So let's call that. Let's just make this build script called Electron Build, and use Electron Builder. Right, and then we'll create another build script. And this will do npm run React build. So it's going to do the regular React build, right? And then it's going to do the Electron Builder. All right, and then we'll run a start script for our dev server. And now we'll use concurrently. All right, and I'm on a Windows machine, so I've got to be careful with my escaping quotes here. I'm going to use wait on. Alright, so that should do it for our start script. Alright, now if we try to run this, actually, what are we missing here? We don't need that, since that's our final script in the list. Okay, so what we can do now is try to run our start script, our custom start script. Almost there. Okay, there it is. So we've actually opened up a self-contained browser window, right? It looks like it's a native application running off of our desktop, but it's actually, you can see here, an instance of a browser window. but it's not the same. It's not opening it up like it would in, say, Google Chrome. And you can see that it also automatically opened up DevTools for us. Now, if we don't want it to do that for us every time, we don't have to. Also, you can see up here that we've got as the name of our application React app. So it automatically creates the title of your software application based on what you have in your React code. So let's go ahead and shut this down. And notice when we shut it down that it'll automatically exit. It'll do like a Control-C in our terminal. Okay, we'll have to finish it off just by doing a Control-C a second time, and now in some cases a third time. All right, I find this to be a Windows problem, so bear with me if that happens. But yeah, so we can go into our React code. Say into our app, not into our app file, in our index.js file. No, our index.html file. And rather than use React app, we can call this my Electron app. Or let's just call this menu, right? Menu display. And remember, the menu I'm talking about here is for use in, say, like a restaurant or a bar. All right, and also we can go into our electron.js file and we can make sure that it doesn't open the DevTools just by getting rid of this code right here. All right, so if we run it again, it should open up that window without having the DevTools console opened up. And there we go. And we see that also the name has been changed. Okay, so at this point, if you're looking at this and wondering what's the big deal, you're probably right. There's nothing really very exciting about this. We just copied a bunch of code from the Electron website and we created what looks like a native app for our desktop. All right. But you can see, like I said, it's not opening up in Chrome. It's opening up separately by itself as if to look like it's its own software application, independent of the web browser. And also what we can do if we want to, see, if you look right now, because we're just running our dev server, we have no icons for it. I've got a few other desktop apps that I've built with Electron, but this one is called Menu Display, and there are no apps with that title. But there will be after we run our build function. All right, so if we go in, let's go ahead and stop our dev server real quick. If we run our build function, take a look up at the top of your project and see what gets created. All right, and these builds they take a little bit of time usually. So we've got a dist folder and we've got a build folder now. All right, and you see we've got a lot of messages coming up about our build process, right, which is nice. I mean, you can see in real time whether or not it's going to be successful. And this is all Electron Builder doing the work for us, that package that I told you about earlier that allows us to bundle our files together easily. All right, so it says, I don't have a description in my package JSON, so it wants me to have that. I don't have an author, which it also wants me to have, and we can add those easily enough, right? But let's first see what we've got. If we go into our Explorer, go into the dist folder, and you'll see display setup. Double click on that. Okay, and it brings up the window, but it doesn't give us the application, the contents of the application. And there's at least one thing that we didn't do that we should have done. And what we should have done was, actually there's a couple of things we didn't put in our package JSON. All right, one thing we should have done, and it already told us this, is we should have put a description. So we'll just say menu display for bar or restaurant. And also we should have put an author. So I'll take credit for this mess. And then we add another property called build. And within it, it has a property called app ID. And with this, we can just call it something dot something. Like, for example, this is display dot menu. Right, and then finally what we'll need, and this is, I guess it's a problem with Create React App that it needs an absolute path to look at. We'll create a property called homepage, and it'll look like that. So with that in place, if we run our build again, hopefully things should work. So we're only seeing one negative message here, and it says default Electron icon is used because we have not set a custom application. And we'll do that later in one of the, probably the last video before we finish up this series. We'll create our own custom icon and make sure that it gets displayed in our application. But for now, it looks like we're good. So if we go to our dist folder again, and execute the setup, things are okay. Now we get what we want. So we have a production version of our simple Create React app. Of course, we haven't actually put anything in there that we wanted to put in there, but we'll do that in the next video. So finally, close that, right? Close this. You can even close your text editor if you like. You can close your browser window if you like. Won't be looking at that anymore. And now you see that it's created a desktop icon called display. Right, and if I double click on that, it launches my application right from the desktop. So that's what it means to create a desktop application using web development skills and using web development technology. And it's that easy. So if you ever do need to create a desktop app and you're really all your skill set, all that you have in your developer's toolbox is web development skills, you can still create one, and you can create a nice one, as you'll see. Well, not a nice one. We won't be creating a nice one, but you can create a very nice one if you like. But in the upcoming videos, you'll see a little bit more about how to, make your desktop app look more like what you want it to look like. So for now, that's it, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll actually start to add some meaningful content to our project. Anyway, as always, thank you for checking me out, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.